Alright, just a little quick tutorial. CECH 2500A, I believe. Slim. Tried several different pen drives after installing a bigger drive. Couldn't get the PNY or this knockoff brand, whatever the hell it is, I don't remember. ONN brand from Walmart. 492 system software. Installed a bigger hard drive, didn't want to update. So Sony really doesn't like things like this, and even though they used to be okay with updating your hard drive, or upgrading your hard drive I should say. Anyways, before I start rambling, let me just make it short and sweet. When you install a bigger hard drive, you put what's the current firmware, 4.92. You put that on your pen drive, formatted in FAT32, make a folder called PS3, make another folder inside of the PS3 folder called update, and then put your PS3 updat.pup file in there, and you'll get an error whether you're doing system restore, well, typically in system restore mode, but it's going to tell you something along the lines of no applicable update data was found. If you're having that issue, you're using your, not the cat, you're using your controller, you have to connect it with the USB. What you do, doesn't matter what slot the controller and the USB are in, or your pen drive are in, all you have to do is disconnect the USB cable from your controller. In the system restore menu, you go down to system update. If it tells you no applicable update was found, press start and select on your controller when it tells you to, and then immediately, the second that text changes, disconnect the USB from your controller. Give it a second and it'll tell you some data was found. Plug your controller back up, press the PlayStation button on the controller, then hold start and select for 5 seconds, and the second that data changes, the absolute second, the very second that data changes, disconnect the USB from the controller again, and it'll go ahead and start the format process. It used to not be that way, but it's that way now. Sony doesn't like their stuff being messed with, but we paid good money for these consoles, and they just discontinue stuff whenever they want to, and expect us to just buy new stuff. And it's not a bad business model, but that's how you piss off all your customer base, so, or at least a good portion of them, because a lot of us like to keep these things alive. We have good memories with these. It's fantastic. And I'm not even doing this to modify this console. I'm doing it just because I want to put a bigger hard drive in here and have more storage capacity. No piracy or anything along those lines. And it used to be a lot easier to do this, but with the 4.92 update, apparently not anymore. So it's kind of a big FU to the fans of PlayStation, but whatever. To each his own, or to each his own. But as you can see, there you go, you're back. So you take your USB and connect it back to the controller with one hand, because you're recording and you're an idiot. Press the PlayStation button, checking for update data, and it'll walk you through the whole process. Once you get to this screen, you shouldn't have to disconnect your controller anymore, but we're gonna see. It took me all of about 30 minutes to figure this out, which is embarrassingly long for me, but with how basic their little I guess you would call it BIOS is, it's only got 2 USB ports on it, and it's going to try to detect if you're doing anything suspicious, and because the modifications for these consoles are primarily USB based and they're all over the internet, so Sony has internet as well. You'd be crazy to think that they're not going to scour the internet and look for these things. But it makes things harder on the average Joe like myself that's super handsome and ridiculously smart, LOL, that just want to have a little more storage capacity. So, there you go. Now we're doing it. But, yeah, just file that away. It may take you a couple of tries to get it right. And forgive the mess, this is my electronic shed. There's everything you can think of, but none of that has anything to do with this, and I'm rambling again. So disconnect your USB the very second that it starts to read your pen drive. You'll be good to go. It may take you a couple of tries to get it right, but here's your proof. It will work. Y'all have a day. Good or bad, you choose.